What's up guys, Anton here at DPR. Today we're unraveling the SWIRL project. I'm really excited about it. If you're ready, let's jump right into that. So the SWIRL project is a really interesting project and dear at heart for us Canadian breeders because it was started here in Canada, especially here in Quebec, the French part of Canada, by Khalil at 514 Reptiles.
For clutch, I have pies and G-stripe clown stuff, so it's an amazing project so far. So I can wait to see where it goes.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. Cédrick has some really good combos to show, like base morphs and then layering some stuff on top. Really exciting. So let's jump right into that. So the good thing when you work with a new gene is you want to isolate and have that base mutation on its own with nothing else added, because you want to be able to understand the key points and what to recognize to really be able to work that gene and see how it affects different genes. And this one is a single gene SWIRL. So right from the bat, we see it has some dark colors. You'll see in other combos that the dark color keeps bleeding through everything. They give a pretty interesting black dorsal with those floating alien heads. Pretty cool. And they have often that kind of stripe towards the tail here. So this is yellow belly SWIRL, so introduction of yellow belly on top. Right from the start, you can see how dark this animal is, but being dark, you don't necessarily have to remove those crazy flames. You definitely have a lot of pattern, a lot of popcorning effect on those sides, almost like what the lace would do with yellow belly, so like kind of a double up effect. You have a lot of good flamings, good colors, nice bubbly alien heads, and then a super dark dorsal. And if you add just fire on top, this is really where things go absolutely wild. This is a fire yellow belly SWIRL, and again, you have crazy dark. You have that stripe from the tail that continues all across the dorsal. Beautiful flamings, a beautiful interaction. I think this one might be one of my favorite besides the G-stripe combo that we'll show later, but this is super cool. So this is fire yellow belly SWIRL. So these two are Enshi combos, and this one is the SWIRL version. This is no SWIRL. Right from the start, you can already tell how SWIRL is affecting the color. It creates a way more peachy and soft orange undertone, where the other one kind of really has that Enshi vibe with golden yellows. This one is more of the peachy side. And then what I was talking about earlier, where usually on Enshi, you never have holes in the pattern. This one is kind of the exception of it. But an Enshi is just like a band that goes from one side to the other and never have holes inside. And then when you put the SWIRL, you can see you start to get a little bit of holes, especially on this one here. You have that double hole on the alien head. But this is a harder base. Obviously, Enshi is super strong, but to have a gene that interacts with Enshi as well is definitely interesting. This one is truly outstanding, and I'll explain in a second why. This is a G-stripe combo, and people who dislike G-stripe always say that the problem with the G-stripe mutation is it's a recessive trait that kind of removes all the pattern. You just have usually a line on the dorsal and no patterns on the side. But this combo here has full of pattern to offer on the side. You really have, besides that line, honestly, the pattern on the sides look absolutely crazy. It's just insane to me to have so much busyness on one G-stripe animal. So this here is a Enshi fire yellow belly SWIRL, genetic stripe 100% het for DG. So imagine this as a visual desert ghost. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I'm trying to convince Cédrick to let this one go, but I understand why he wants to keep this animal. This is truly phenomenal. So to have the SWIRL affecting G-stripe that much is a really great indicator on how we can work that project extensively in heavily intense pattern mutation, for example, like leopard, confusion, hide. So I think that this animal is really what shines to me on why SWIRL has so much potential, is really when you can take a simple gene that as the single gene, you don't see much of it. But then when you throw in a very intense recessive, you have results like that. This is just crazy. So these next two are visual SWIRL clowns, two combos with some very simple gene, but they are super reactive. The first one here is a fire SWIRL clown. Everything is 100% het for desert ghost. So already you see the edge that we already have on this project. I say we just because I'm Canadian, but I'm not working the project yet. I'm trying to get in with the right animals. Maybe this one, who knows? So this is the fire SWIRL clown, but you really see it on the dorsal, how weird that dorsal is going from one side to the other, kind of a barbed wire type of pattern. you have a lot of interesting little dots on those sides. You have a lot of them here, a lot of them there, kind of random floating dots. So this is super interesting. So this is the Fire Swirl Clown, and the other one is the Yellow Belly Swirl Clown, and this one is by far my favorite. Yellow Belly Clown combos are truly phenomenal. I want you guys to notice, just before we dive into like a little bit of the pattern and whatnot, how black this dorsal looks. You have a lot of red burgundy type of colors, but generally speaking, this animal is so dark, yet very contrasted with rich colors. So this is super interesting. And the swirl is really giving out a lot of busyness on the side, where, you know, often we try to have genes like spot nose to add busy pattern on our clowns, because this is where you really see a lot of pattern and a lot of interesting development in interaction and combos, and swirl is definitely giving that away. So this is super interesting. Beautiful teardrops with a lot of rich coloration. So this is a super cool interaction. Thank you, Cédrick, for bringing some animals here at work so we can display this project and help showcase these animals and give them a little bit of a spotlight, because I really think that swirl has a lot of legs. So for part 2, guys, I'm with Brian from TC Morphs. He brought some amazing swirls. I'm really excited because those are truly, truly phenomenal. So I've seen the ones from Cédrick. Now, those are really, really cool. So you got your snake from Khalil. What was your male again?
Okay, so our male is a DG Yellow Belly Swirl Het Clown.
Nice. That's definitely a killer male, also from Khalil. And you got, what, 2 clutches out of it?
Yeah, we got 2 clutches out of it this year.
We're going to show you some super swirls. Really, really exciting. So let's dive right into those. So their pairing was a Yellow Belly DG Swirl Het Clown, the male they got from Khalil, to a OD Fire Swirl Het Clown. This female is kind of the original animal for the project. I remember going to their place, to their facility, when this clutch really just hatched to try to ID the snakes, and now I see them with like a couple of 100 grams more, and the color has been just improving and improving. At first, I thought this animal was no Orange Dream. Now that I see it with some more size, I really think this is. So my new guess on this snake is a OD Yellow Belly Swirl Clown, 100% het for Desert Ghost. And the swirl really brought back a lot of darkness, a lot of contrast on this animal. Obviously, it's affecting the pattern, but the main takeaway from it is definitely the color. And if I add another animal on the table, this is basically a Fire Yellow Belly Swirl Clown. Everything's het Desert Ghost. Obviously, the male was a visual, but this is no OD, so Fire Yellow Belly, swapping OD on this one. So crazy, extreme contrast with both of them, but I really like how much pattern we got onto these 2 combos. The dorsal on this one is so rich, so intense. It would honestly remind me almost of a lace clown combo based on how much you get contrast and brightness on these animals. So swirl definitely is not a gene that fades away and tends to not be as crisp as it ages. This is truly, truly amazing. So this is your first look at a super swirl clown. 100% het for Desert Ghost. This is probably the very first super swirl clown and super swirl on its own. This animal is absolutely exceptional, and please let Brian know in the comments that I want to keep this animal. He doesn't have to go back home with this. This is really, really epic. Again, same thing as you see with the others. As for just a clown with no other known gene, this animal is absolutely epic. If we start from the head and go all the way to the tail, as far as what we were seeing, the head stamp is really, really rich. We got some sort of a kind of blackhead or redhead dorsal on a clown that we have sometimes here, really blotched out. Definitely some weird pattern going on the head and all the way here on the neck. But the main takeaway from this animal is how busy it is. Those sides are truly, truly mind-blowing. You get almost as much pattern, if not more, than what you're getting from a spot nose clown. We're all about pattern when it comes to our clown. You know, the leopard, the enshi, like they're great for reducing patterns, but we're always trying to add pattern because we want to add the complexity of our clown combos, and this is really, really taking it to a next level. You got a perfect barbed wire pattern on the dorsal. Literally, this dorsal is truly spectacular. I think chocolate in there would be wow, just increasing the separation of that dorsal from the pattern would be pretty epic. So as a super, just a super with no other genes, this is really, really amazing. But Brian did not disappoint, and he did hit a version with 2 more genes on top, so I have to show it to you guys. And this snake here is basically the pinnacle of their swirl season. This is Super Swirl OD Yellow Belly Clown, 100% head for Desert Ghost. And luckily enough, this is a male, so they're going to be able to push their project with full speed now. I was speaking with Brian and Christo right before we were taking this shot, like the amount of contrast that you have on this animal, from the yellow, the oranges, like the burgundy color on the dorsal, and the highlight of black all across this snake is truly, truly spectacular. This part here, the neck and the head stamp, is so phenomenal. The blacks there are just crisp black. Overall, a crazy animal, and you're not losing on the amount of pattern. Obviously, OD kind of reducing it a little bit, but you still get those very narrow and tight alien head with the teardrops there. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at this belly, just epic. I'm loving this project more and more, and it's so cool to have a newer gene, kind of a dinker gene, that's already this far ahead. Like, can you imagine, like, they're already at a point where they have a super with a recessive and a het at the same time with other incomplete dominance. And really hoping that this video and the effort that we're doing to promote this project is going to come to fruition, because I want to see a lot more done with the swirl. But before we end this video, we have even more swirl stuff to show you. We have a swirl Desert Ghost possible super. So these next two came from the same male to a Firefly swirl het DG. She was also Posset Clown. Unfortunately, didn't prove out on the first try, but these animals are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the pattern distribution, the amount of contrast that you have from the yellow and the black. You get so much blushing on both of them. I think that they're both like Firefly, Yellow Belly Swirl. They could also be Super Swirl. This is totally possible, but based on, you know, how many animals we've seen in the project, it's really hard to tell. But both of them are possible swirls. I love how much you get some, you know, the blushing from the sides is going all the way to the dorsal, extending in between the pattern that's kind of bending on one side to the other. And then obviously on this one, it's kind of muddy, like grayish color with a hint of yellow, kind of dirty scales. And then the Desert Ghost just took it to the next level. And you get those patches of pure peachy, white, yellowish color on the sides, highlighted by that jet black. Honestly, DG and pastel is crazy together, but this combo really makes it shine like it's super epic. So both of them are possible swirls. We'll have to produce more and see exactly the interaction, but definitely you see how much swirl is interacting with it. If it's just a Firefly Yellow Belly, there's none of that GHI type of hurricane effect. This is 100% swirl doing that in these combos. I'm really, really impressed about them. Guys, super excited about the swirl project. I feel like I'm always showing you some newer mutations, but this is what it's all about. Like when I see a new morph that's really impressive, I have to show it to you guys. And I'm always transparent when it comes to where we are in the project, what are my hopes and goals. I'm not into the swirl project, but I saw my good buddy Brian and Cédrick from TC Morphs and Pythons of the North. They were working with that project, and I really believe in it. I think that there's some great potential. I hope you're just as enthused as I am and they are about this project. I have nothing in the project yet, so maybe if you buy some animals from them, you could let them know that they should hook me up with something. But I'm really hoping that I can get my hand on some of the swell stuff that they have and work it inside of my own projects at DPR. Let me know down in the comments what you think about it and where you would take this project. Thanks again to those two gentlemen for bringing the snakes, and be sure to follow them all on their social medias. I'll put all the information down below, and follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and check my available snakes on Morph Market. We'll see you soon. Cheers.